Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Ohigan service. We will begin with the ringing of the kansho, followed by chanting of Sambujo, Hyo Byakumon, and Sambutsuge. And you can either follow along on the screen or the purple service book in front of you, page 79.
Naman notes, naman notes, naman notes, naman notes, naman notes, naman notes. On this occasion of the West Los Angeles Buddhist Temple's annual observance of Ohigan service, we are gathered here to express our gratitude and appreciation to Amida Buddha for awakening us to the boundless wisdom and compassion of the Buddha. During the Ohigan, when the hours of the day and night are equal, the sun symbolically rises in the east and sets in the west toward the direction of Amida Buddha's Pure Land. On this morning, we gathered here at our temple to hear the teaching of Amida Buddha's primal vow as clarified and transmitted to us by Shinran Shonin, and resolve the matter of the great importance of our afterlife. Let us deeply entrust ourselves to Amida Buddha and recite the name of the Buddha as the expression of our gratitude and appreciation for the Buddha's benevolence for settling our birth in the Pure Land. I, Shak Koho, so humbly recite the name of the Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.敬って大義大師の阿弥陀如来の御前に申し上げます。古来浄土を願う人は春秋に彼岸へを務めて遥か西の方夕日の沈むところに安女の浄土を望み命のふるさとに思いを寄せてまいりました。伝道大師はこの日太陽は真東より昇り真西に沈む。その日の沈む彼方、10万の区の仏国土を過ぎて、阿弥陀如来の浄土は増しますと仰せられました。私どもは幸いに、宗祖親鸞上人のお導きによって、本願念仏の見教えを仰ぎ、やがて安女の浄土に生まれる身とならせていただきました。人として生まれた身にこれ以上の幸せはありません。本日ここに当西羅浮仏教会の祈願会にあたり、うやうやしく仏殿を称言し、先立って行かれた上の人々を忍びながら、経典を読受して限りなき仏頓に感謝いたします。ここに西羅浮仏教会中大開教師釈候補謹んで申し上げます。何万打仏、何万打仏。高元義理偉人の国女善妙無
Okay, so now I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Reverend Ken Fujimoto. So Sensei was born in Tokyo, Japan. He graduated from UC Santa Cruz, majoring in economics in 1971. He attended Ryukoku University between 72 and 77 and received his MA in Shin Buddhist Studies in 1977. He served at the following temples: Fresno Betsuin between 77 and 81, Sacramento Betsuin between 81 and 84, Lodi 84 to 2005, and then finally San Jose Betsuin from 2006 until he retired in December of 2018. And he also served as the BCA MA Chair, BCA Centennial Co-Chair, Lodi Hospital Chaplaincy Board, UOP President's Advisory Council on Religious Life, and IBS Board of Trustees numerous times. And now I'd like to introduce Reverend Fujimoto to deliver our Dharma message.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for that nice introduction. I was looking around for somebody important. I'm really pleased to be able to come here and speak to you, but I have to admit that Ohigan is not one of my favorite services. You know, I really don't like it too much, and that's because when I was a Dharma school student, or back then a Sunday school student, we used to hear about the 6 paramita twice a year, you know, and I got tired of that, and I could never quite understand it. And, you know, I used to think that sometimes I'm asked to speak at these services so often because of bachi, you know, because I hated it as a kid, you know, I'm being bad karma comes and makes me want to, you know, have to speak at these kinds of things. But, you know, there's a lot of this legend that I really don't quite understand. Just because it's closer, well, the days and nights are even, why does that make the Pure Land closer to us? You know, you would think that either the short days or the long days, you know, would make it closer, if you think of it logically, I guess. But anyway, this is one of those things that happens all the time. Oh, thank you. Be prepared. Anyway, never quite understood this. And part of the legend is that Shitennoji, a temple in Osaka, Japan, has these torii gates, the gates, and apparently the eastern gate is set so that at the time of Ohigan, when the days and nights are the same length, the sun sets right there in the middle of the gate, right? And because of that, the legend is that, that east gate goes straight into the west gate of the Pure Land, right? No, it's the other way around. The west gate is there, and that goes right into the east gate of the Pure Land. And this is really an interesting story. It's an amazing feat of architecture and construction, I think, to be able to have the torii gate there, especially when it was built, so long ago, and still have, the sun set right there. This is amazing. But what's that got to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? It's one of those things that can distract us very easily. And, how many of you can actually believe that walking through a particular gate will get you into the Pure Land? If it were that easy, everybody would be there, and you could probably sell tickets to do that. But again, this is one of those things that happens and is said, and a lot of times the people at the temple coming here anyway, you'll ask how many of you want to go to the Pure Land, and many people raise their hands. But when you ask how many of you want to go right now, people say no, not yet. Not yet. We don't want to do that. So, why do we stress this? And really, when you talk about the other shore, the other gate, all of these types of things, when in Buddhism, when we always stress oneness and non-duality, it seems odd that a dualistic concept such as the other shore is considered to be so important. Why is the other shore so important? And just a little thought will make us realize that we can't have the other shore unless you have this shore. This shore makes it possible to have the other shore. And we need to look at this apparent contradiction of stressing the other and not stressing this shore in terms of Buddhist logic. By stressing the other shore, we're really stressing this shore. We're really stressing this shore. We have to stress that duality to go beyond the terminology or beneath the surface to get to what's really being communicated. And as I started off, the other shore, paramita, the sixth paramita. Paramita means the other shore and things like that. And like I said, at Dharma school, they used to teach the sixth paramita as being important. But all these years, most of the teachers and most of the ministers have been teaching it all wrong, right? Because they teach it as 6 different things, right? There can't be 6 different things. All 6 have to be perfected before you can reach the other shore, right? Like one of the 6 paramita is dana or fuse, to be generous, to give, generous giving. And then, later on, one of them is also wisdom. So, if you're generous, but you're stupid, it doesn't do any good. Or if you're very wise and you're cheap, that doesn't do any good either. All you do is cling to your money, you don't give to anybody. That's not good either. All of these have to be perfected together, right? The 6 have to be perfected together before you can reach the other shore. And this is one of the unique aspects of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. Buddhism in general, you don't look at things just one way. Especially in terms of the other shore. This always reminds me of my college calculus class. And my instructor was very boring. He was really a terrible instructor in terms of that. He was brilliant, yes, but as far as communicating, he was terrible. But at the last day of class, somebody gave him an orange. And then he really got off on, basically he was talking about spherical geometry. And he took the orange and got a marking pen and drew a dot on it. He pointed it out and says, "You see a dot here, but if you look at it, as a global thing, a sphere, that a dot here is actually a line going through it. And then a circle around it is actually like a line going around it, instead of through it." And, he just went off and talked for an hour and a half about all these different things, of ways of looking at things. And that was the most interesting class of the year from him. But at the same time, it left me with the fact that, well, this is what we do in Buddhism. We're always talking about how other shore and such is important. But when you think about it, you get to the other shore. In Jodo Shinshu, in general Buddhism, you get to the other shore by doing all these practices and such. You go farther and farther across. But in Jodo Shinshu, you find out that a lot of these things you can't do perfectly. No matter how generous you want to be, you can't do it. So you find yourself getting farther and farther away from the other shore. But because it's spherical, you get so far away that when you look and behind you, you're there, right? You're there on the other shore. And this is one of those things that we're being reminded of. This is the time of year when after the winter and all the rains that we've had this year, things are coming back to life. The greening is coming out. The colors are exploding around us. And despite our allergies, the air seems to be fresher and the weather is warmer. And we feel better because of all this. And we tend to want to go outdoors. It's surprising how many people are walking around the streets yesterday and such, and today as well. So at this time, we're being told that we need to stop and think about the mental, spiritual side of our lives, as well as just the physical. That physical side, yes, we feel better, but how are we inside it? How are we spiritually? And feeling good without real content can lead to problems. You can feel good about yourself, but why? Right? You can feel good about how your life is going, but why? You need to think about all this. What is it that makes your life better? What is it that makes your life meaningful? And most of the time, it's because of those people around you, the causes and conditions coming together in just the right way. So, what is it that the other shore can show us about this shore? And, what is it that the Pure Land is trying to show us? One of the things that I've done as a minister is I have many tour groups that come through the temple and have to give brief explanations of the altar area and the teachings. And one thing that everybody asks, regardless of the age, they could be preschoolers or they could be senior citizens, they all ask, is that real gold? And this is distracting, right, for them. But the gold serves many different purposes. You have gold leaf, you have gold plate, you have brass, and it's all gold. But the use of gold is because, for a number of reasons. One is purity, it's a symbol of purity. But the other is that the Shakyamuni Buddha, when he attained enlightenment, he was said to have a glow about him, And this is to express the perfect health that Siddhartha experienced. He was able to come to realize. By perfect health, I mean both physically and psychologically. He was healthy. You can tell when a person that you're close to is not well, right? They don't look good. They don't have a glow. But when they are healthy physically and happy, they do tend to have a glow about them. So this is what the gold is trying to stress. But one time, this one student And I have to admit, he was pretty smart. He looked at the altar, and the one question he asked was, why is the Buddha standing on an artichoke? Right? Those of you who look closely, you can see, well, it's kind of dark up there, but then later on you can take a look a little bit more closely. He's standing on a blue lotus flower, right? But to a person who doesn't know what a blue lotus flower looks like, it looks like an artichoke. You know, I had to go stand up in front and look at it, and I said, oh, yeah, it does look like an artichoke. So that kid was really sharp. But one of the things that it showed me too is that most of us are always looking at the altar without really looking and without seeing, right? This is something that we all need to do. And what the altar represents is a lot of different things, but one, it can be considered the interface between us and the Pure Land. It shows us what the Pure Land is, promising, that purity, that balance, that harmony. Like one of the things that we have a lot of different colors up on the altar, right? But they don't clash. They don't clash. And then we have different shapes and materials, but they're together in harmony. Like all the things with legs have 3 legs because of the balance that's there. And this is all showing us things that are important in our lives, right? So the altar is a manifestation of the teachings for us. And in the Amida Sutra, one of the things that it refers to is that all the features of the Pure Land are Futoku Shogun, meaning that they're all features that manifest themselves because of the merits of the teachings. And this is true of the altar as well. It doesn't have to be this way, right? It doesn't have to be this way. But because of your feelings towards the teachings, because of the feelings of the pioneer members that they had for the teachings, they wanted to make it as nice as they could. They wanted to make it as nice as they could. And I had never noticed before, when I was standing out here, but your Naijin here is actually pretty big, pretty good size. And I was thinking the first time I was here, actually the last time I was actually here was when Reverend Oda was here, so that was ages of myriads of kalpas ago. And my memory wasn't very good, but that was a long time ago, and I never noticed it. But it's a very nice and large Naijin. So again, that feeling that people had for the teachings, for the temple, are manifest as this. Not just the altar area, but the temple being as nice as it is, and all of this. It's because of the feelings that the people had for the teachings, right? And I think because of the feelings that the members today have for the teachings and for what the pioneer members did, this is what they want to keep up as much as possible. And one of the things that reminds us of all of this is that the incense burner, right? The incense burner. People look inside the incense burner and they just see ash, right? They look at the top of the incense burner and they see a lot of tar and stuff like that, and they kind of think, wow, yucky or dirty. But in reality, when you think about it, the incense burner is one of those things that teaches things to us too. The incense burner has ashes in it, right? And the ashes enable the new incense that's being burned to stay lit, right? A lot of times people say if you don't have the ashes, you can use salt or rice and things like that. But that just doesn't work, The incense is just the right texture so that a lit incense stick will continue to burn, right? It will continue to burn. And this is showing us that we are like that incense stick. We have that ability to burn because of all that's gone before. You know, the incense ashes are the dead incense. Because of the dead incense, the current incense is enabled to burn. And this is easy for incense. You know, an incense stick knows what it's supposed to do when it's lit. Unfortunately, people don't know what it is that you're supposed to do. But whatever it is, however long it takes you to realize what it is you need to do, it's the past lives that have gone before that enable us to live, right? To live. And not just exist. Not just exist. Because a stick of incense is useless as anything else unless you burn it, unless you light it. And this is true with us as well. Unless we're lit, you know, what is it that we can do? So, in our expression of our gratitude for being able to have what we have, for being able to be, and it doesn't really matter if you're happy or disappointed at any single point in life. The fact that you can be happy or you can be disappointed, you can be mad, is only possible because of everything that's happened before. And for this, we need to express our gratitude. And this is why one of the important things that we read and do is the expression of the Ondok-san. You know, we always sing it and stuff like that, but most of the time people don't understand it. And it's a hymn written by Shinan Shonin and part of the Shozo Matsuwa-san, the hymns on the Dharma ages. And the literal translation that you'll find in the collected works of Shinan is, "Such is the benevolence of Amida's great compassion, that we must strive to return it, even to the breaking of our bodies. Such is the benevolence of the masters and true teachers, that we must endeavor to repay it, even though our bones become dust." Which sounds actually kind of depressing, but really a free translation in the Ryukoku series, "The compassion of the Tathagatas, Amida and Shakyamuni, and benevolence of those who let us receive it, particularly the seven masters, is incomparably great. We should repay them, no matter how difficult it may be to do so." So, again, we gather to listen to the teachings at this time to remind ourselves that we owe a lot to all the people that have gone before, to all the people that give us this temple, that give us this situation where we're comfortable. And this is what the altar is trying to communicate to us as well, that from the other shore, the teachings are reaching out to us. And for that, we need to express our gratitude. This will conclude my English portion. When I was an active minister, one of the things that I hated about inviting retired ministers as guest speakers, they all tend to be really long, and I try to tell myself, don't do that, don't do that. So I hope I didn't bore you yet. And just a few words in Japanese at this point. This is an aside, and I mentioned it in the seminar yesterday. But one of the things that I did after retiring is I quit smoking. Up until then, I used to use the rationalization that I have to inhale all the incense smoke anyway, and because of that, I couldn't see any reason to quit smoking. Now that I don't have to be in the altar area every day and such, and be chanting and inhale the incense, I quit smoking. But because of that, whenever I have the incense smoke, there in the background and such, I'm coughing like heck, and I apologize for any discomfort that it may give you. But I'd like to begin with the Ondok-san. that we often chant in Japanese. This is one of those things that I should remember, and I usually do, but when I try to remember it, I make mistakes. 如来大悲の音読は、身を粉にしても法ずべし、刺繍知識の音読も、骨を砕きてもシャスべし、ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブ。まあ、今日この春の彼岸法要でありますので、この彼岸と、かの騎士ということは、ということと、その音読さんの方の意味はどういうふうに関係してるんだろうと思う人たちもいるでしょうけれども、彼岸というのは、かの騎士ですね。かの騎士のことを考えると、どう考えてもこの騎士がなければかの騎士はないわけなんですね。かの騎士があって、この騎士があってかの騎士がある。本妻がいないと彼女はないはずですね。それと同じようなこと、彼一緒に相対的なものであって両方見なければならない。そうしてそのことを考えてみると、かの騎士を強調するのは、この騎士のことを強調しているということになってくるわけなんです。ね、彼が、かの騎士がないとこの騎士はない。この騎士がないとかの騎士はない。ここで私は話して話するように呼ばれてきていますけれども、もし皆さんいなかったら、こういうふうに立ってて話するのも馬鹿らしいです。そして僕がいなければみんながお参りして座って弔問しようとしても、それもちょっとおかしいことになってくるわけなんですね。その相対両方があって初めてあり得るわけなんです。だから先ほど英語の方でちょっと説明しましたけども、この功労の方の牌なんか見ますと、大抵の人が先見て、汚いと思うわけなんですね。牌だけ見て。しかし考えてみると、その牌というのはお香の、亡くなったお香の、お骨ではあるわけなんですね。その亡くなったお香があって初めて今のお香を焚いてそのまま香りを話すことができるわけなんです。それはなかったらすぐ消えてしまうわけなんで役に立たない。これも人間と一緒であるわけなんですね。昔の人たちのことがあって、教えがあって、動力があって、今初めて私たちは生かせていただけるわけなんです。ただしお香の線香の場合は火をつけたらどうしたらいいのかすぐ分かるわけなんです。人間はなかなか分かんない、火つけてもらってもどういうふうに生きたらいいのか、どういうふうに生かせていただけるかということは迷うわけなんですね。だからその迷いがないようにかの騎士のことは考えなければならないよというふうになっているわけなんですね。今は天気が良くなってきて気持ちはいい、肉体的にも精神的にも晴れてきたような感じします。でもそれだけでもいいのか。人間というのはその精神的にも肉体的にもそういうとこもあるけども、宗教的な方はどうでしょうかというふうに問われているわけなんですね。だからこういうふうに、お参りさせていただくのは、かの騎士、そのお浄土の方はあって私たちに常に教えを向けてくださっているということですね。例えばお花なんか お仏壇に飾るというふうに言いますけれども、もし本当に備えているんだったら、仏様に備えているんだったら、なんでこっちの方に向いているのかということになってくるわけなんですね。花の方は向こうに向けているんだったら、阿弥陀様に備えているというふうに、ね、考えられますけれども、違うんですね。こっちの方に向かっているわけなんです。だからその花なんかを通じて私たちに教えを送ってくださっているわけなんですね。だから向こうからこっち来てる、こっちから向こう行くだけではなく、そういう相対関係もあって、その教えが私たちに向かってきてくれる。それに対して感謝していかなければならないということであるわけなんですね。だからその大乗仏教の場合では、この鹿の騎士の方を言うのはちょっとおかしい、そういう相対的なことなんかあんまり強調しないのにおかしいように見えますけれども、本当はそれがあってね、初めて私たちにその教えが向かってきている。そしてもう一つ大切なのは、その私たち人間凡夫、その煩悩で溢れているものとして、どうしても阿弥陀様の教え、その慈悲が向かってきてなければおかしくなってくるわけなんですね。私たち煩悩たちなんかいるから、阿弥陀様の慈悲が向かってきてくださっているわけなんです。私たちなんかいなかったら阿弥陀様も必要ではない、いない。私たちがいて、ね、この私たち、この騎士の私たちがいて、この騎士の阿弥陀様の力、その慈悲なんかが必要としてなってくるわけなんです。簡単でちょっとないような話だったでしょうけれども、最後にまたその音読さんのとこを拝読させていただきます。如来大悲の音読は、身を粉にしても報ずべし、刺繍知識の音読も、骨を砕けても射すべし。ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブ。Thank you very much for your attention. 皆さん本当にまとまりのないような話で失礼しましたけれども、こういうご縁をいただいて光栄であります。そして高原先生、梅津先生にもお礼申し上げます。ありがとうございました。ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブ。
Well, thank you very much, Sensei, for your Dharma message this morning, and the length was just right. Next, we will have the reading of Ryogemon.
Please join me in hands together as we recite together Ryogemon, Words of Understanding of Our Tradition by Master Renyo. We rely upon Amida Buddha with our whole heart for the enlightenment in the life to come, abstaining from all sundry practices and teachings, and giving up the trust in our imperfect view. There is no doubt that the assurance of enlightenment comes at the very moment we entrust and we recite the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, in joy and gratitude for the Buddha's compassion. We also acknowledge gratefully the benign benevolence of our founder and succeeding masters, who have led us to live in this profound teaching, and we do now endeavor to follow throughout our lives the way laid down for us. 両下出言もろもろの造業雑種自力の心を振り捨てて一心に阿弥陀如来我らが今度の一大事の御所御助け総来と頼み申して候頼む一年の時往生一条御助け事情と存じこの上の称名はご恩報者と存じ、喜び申し候。この恩断り、弔問申し訳候こと、ご解散承認ご出世のご恩、次第相乗の全受式の朝からざるご関係のご恩と、ありがたく存じ候。この上は定めを課せられる恩をきて、一語限り守り申すべく候。ナモアミダブツナマンダブツナマンダブツナマンダブナマンダブツナマンダブナマンダブツナマンダブ。
Okay, so now I do have a few announcements. On April the 6th at 10 o'clock, which is a Saturday, we will have our centennial commemorative seminar. And our guest speaker at the time will be Reverend Dr. Nobuo Haneda, who is the director of the Maeda Center of Buddhism. Registration is required, and please go to WLADharmacenter@gmail.com. Following day, we have our Hanamatsuri Dharma service, and that's at 10 o'clock on April the 7th. And again, Reverend Haneda will be our guest speaker. Now, we have some new study sessions available. The first one is on Saturday from 11 to 12. These are via Zoom. There are 4 sessions, which is led by Reverend Takata. And registration fee, suggested registration fee is $40. And if you can't make Saturday, you also have a Wednesday evening study session from 7 to 8 p.m., also via Zoom, and this starts on April the 24th. Every third Friday of the month, we have bingo at the temple. Starts at 7 o'clock, and this is in our social hall, which is just across the patio area. Plenty of parking. We have light snacks, and it's a lot of fun, and of course, more the people, the bigger the prize. We have available temple t-shirts. Here's a sample of one right here. And we have 2 styles. One is crew neck, one is V-neck, and they're $20 each. We have various sizes, so if you're interested, you could either see me today after service or contact the office. And then finally, as most of you know, we are celebrating our 100th anniversary in 2026, and we are preparing for the big celebration. And in the meantime, we have a lot of projects and improvements that we want to do to our temple. So one of them, as you can see here, this is a niche for our new columbarium that is being prepared in Japan right now, and we expect delivery sometime in September of this year. So there was a fundraising campaign towards the centennial celebration that most of you had already received. So we hope that you do, as Sensei said, give generously towards that. So with that concludes. Oh, I'm sorry, one more. We have some extra calendars available, which is located on the table in the back. This is printed by BCA, which is the Buddhist Church of America. So if you don't have one, please feel free to grab one on the way out. So with that, that'll conclude our service for today. And Sensei?
Thank you very much. If any students have any questions, please come forward. Thank you.
There is? Oh. Okay. There's sandwiches, refreshments in the social hall. So please don't go home.